Just a reminder, everyone, of the disclaimer. So, anything we talk about today is for educational, entertainment, and information purposes only.
Hey everybody, so lots of excitement this week, a little bit of selling today. We've bounced a little bit on this sort of delay of the tariff news. So this is kind of following, I'd say, sort of kind of an art of the deal Trump kind of blueprint, which is, come out strong and then start dialing it back and sort of give people a chance after you scare the heck out of them. So this is the playbook really. Now we're looking at the stock NVIDIA. Now NVIDIA is a stock that really kind of had already been having trouble even before this DeepSeek news came out. It was really just kind of a bit heavy, had a couple of nice runs in here, but unlike sort of the broader market, it really wasn't kind of charging ahead very strongly. We had this one pop up here to new highs and then really kind of sold off. And it was almost like somebody knew that there was something brewing, which could have been the case because this DeepSeek had been out since December, and those in the know probably had a little bit of an idea that it could be a threat. So we rallied up to here. We had some calls, which we got stopped out on. We bought some upside May 160 calls, I think it was, and they went from 830 to 1080. And I told everybody in the community, I said, let's set a stop loss at $9 for these because I don't really want to give away the whole profit. And this thing's acting a bit strange. Came down and got stopped out at 895. So it hit that 9 point, got stopped out at 895. Literally the next day, the deep sell off happened. And so the time was really going getting out of those. Now we do have a risk reversal on a little turbo trade that is still on. So what I've done here is I bought some Feb 118 puts. And as it comes down, I'm watching it carefully. If we get back down to sort of 114, 113, I'm going to probably sell out a lower put just to create sort of a beneficial spread. I'm already up a lot of money on the puts. I'm getting hurt on another position on my longer position, my longer exposure. So I want to create some exposure here to the downside that mitigates a little bit of the sell-off potential because I think it really could get closer to $100, maybe even dip below there as this plays out. So I think my view is that really this is the moment that kind of NVIDIA owners have really dreaded, right? That sort of moment where the narrative has shifted, possibly quite durably, um, in a way, because think of 2023, 2024 as really being the years that NVIDIA shined. It was the poster child for AI, probably along with Microsoft and as the chief picks and shovel maker out there. And I love picks and shovel makers. That's often the great place to be in an industry, right? You want to sell the pans and the picks and all that for the gold rush because it doesn't matter if people find gold or not. You're still selling the tools that people use in order to kind of try to capitalize on the current trend. So the only problem here is they have these massive margins and performance for markets, for stocks, for markets in general. Performance really comes from the sort of narrative, the storyline at the margin, right? So we know that people push stocks way past where they should go. They push stocks down way past where they should go because the market's collective sentiment is really pushing things to the edge at any given time. And if the storyline, if the narrative just changes just a little bit, that's enough potential to pop that bubble a little bit. Now, NVIDIA is not an extremely expensive stock. It's not cheap, but it's not exceptionally expensive for a stock that has incredible margins. But if this narrative has really changed, it could be that we could see a couple of things happening, which is potential demand issue. So let's say people are going to start buying fewer of these. I mean, this is a commodity, right? This isn't. I've had people say, well, this is like it's NVIDIA is like the Apple of GPUs. Not really. Apple commands a massive margin that is unassailable in a way because they have style. They have this kind of chic thing that people want. It's an expression of themselves. They want the best thing out there. I couldn't care less if I had NVIDIA in my AI agent system, whatever it is. It doesn't matter to me. So I could have anything in there. It could be any brand. I want the best performing product for the best price, right? So NVIDIA doesn't have that sort of that benefit. I don't think it doesn't have that kind of moat in a way. I mean, it may have an incredible lead based on great quality products, but no one's going to care if there's another name on their hardware. So it doesn't have that. So if we see potential demand wane a little bit, then that could be a problem for on the demand side of things, and then we could see a potential erosion of that incredible profit margin, right? So last time we saw a big sell-off on Nvidia, maybe it went from 135 down to 100. That was a very technical sell-off. You see technical sell-offs when something goes parabolic, it just has an amazing run, it comes back down because it just has to sort of reset a little bit before the next run. This is happening for potentially fundamental reasons. And so I'm not saying this is a 400 PE stock like 2021 and it's got to completely collapse, but I'm saying that you've got almost 500 ETFs with Nvidia in them. You've got people all around the world who've been plowing into this stock expecting it to sort of things to never go wrong. And so that's a lot of pressure. So you can kind of see the way it's acting. It pops up last few days and it just gets heavy and gets heavy, right? People are really, really, getting out of some of their exposure. And I know it's come down from 152, 153 down to 116, and there's some damage that's already been done. But to me, it feels like there's still a little bit of heaviness out there. And certainly, we're making a lower low today, and we're continuing down. So we're going to be watching. Big tech so far has been somewhat supportive of Nvidia, right? Meta's come out and said, look, we're going to keep spending. Some of these CEOs saying, listen, it's full speed ahead. And I'm sure it is in some ways. But all it's going to take is for somebody big, maybe an Amazon, to say, listen, I think we're going to reevaluate where we're spending. And that's just going to put extra pressure on a company like Nvidia. So for me, it's a little bit of dead money right now. I think you can go out there and you can probably, given that the option pricing is really, really kind of expanded, and you recall a few weeks ago, I said, I think it's really cheap. I think the option pricing is cheap. Now it's not the case anymore. We've seen option pricing expand. And so I think you can kind of grab a nice little bit of premium. So you could kind of go up to the, let's say you're long Nvidia and you really want to keep holding on and you want to kind of play this for a little bit of upside resistance at this point, you could kind of go and say, look, I don't think this thing's really going to get far past this 130 level, maybe 129 level. And I think maybe, I could get out there and sell maybe some Feb 127s for 250. That's pre-earnings, so you're not going to get an earnings event that runs those over. You could even go out if you did want to position yourself a little bit further out, but you're going to incorporate earnings into that. You could go out to the March 130, maybe get something like $6.35 for the March 130. And that's going to sort of generate a little bit of premium if it runs through there, which I think is going to have a little bit of trouble. Even good news. I recall this happened a few months ago with McDonald's, and we put on a downside fly. And I said, you know what? Even a good report is they're gonna have a little trouble getting through that call wall at 300. And sure enough, it did. It just could not get through 300 by more than a couple of dollars. So this might be a case of if it does pop on earnings, I'm sure the earnings are going to be fine because this is new. This is relatively new news that we've got out there. If the earnings are probably going to be fine, maybe we do get a pop, but I think it does potentially get filled right back in again. So you could sell something in here to generate a little bit of premium. Now, if you are on the side of being very, very cautious at this point, you don't want to get rid of it for some reason, but you're thinking, I think things are going to be tough slogging for maybe 2 or 3 months. You could set up a caller at this point. So you could sell something like that 130 or 135, and you get about $5 for the 135 call. You could use that to buy, say, like a 115, 105 put spread for about the same price, right? So you're going to actually get about $1 in your jeans, in your pocket, a dollar credit to put on something that really, obligates you to sell the stock at 135. But again, that's not too far from the all-time high. So I'm not seeing how that's going to happen. I just think there's too much of an overhang, too much of a sort of negative bias to the semiconductor area right now, which frankly, it hasn't been doing great for months and months, but I think that continues. Where's the positive um, twist here? I'm not sure. Maybe they come out and they debunk DeepSeek, which, the $6 million cost that they put on it was complete rubbish. But maybe somebody comes out and says, look, it's a complete lie, and nobody's going to pull back on spending. Maybe Nvidia goes for a run there. If you're cautious right now and you want to buy downside protection, it's very, very expensive. And the benefit to something like a collar structure is that it's relatively option pricing agnostic. So you can kind of buy something, but kind of finance it a little bit. There's some skew involved, but you can finance it and not feel like you're owning something that's just going to kind of bleed and erode every day. You're kind of financing it. So that's kind of those are a couple plays there for that I'm considering for some of my NVIDIA. Now, I think there's always the play where I did tell a few clients and members last week, it got up to around 127, 128, and I said, I don't know. I mean, I think you could just sell it here. So there is that opportunity. Maybe we do get a bit of a reflexive kind of bounce up into the mid 120s. I'm not sure with this Trump news, maybe with this tariff news, maybe we're kind of like gonna have a little bit of a tough time getting above 60-30, 60-50 at this point. So, there's that. You could sort of wait for a bit of a bounce before you do something. But in the meantime, you can do a couple things to make yourself feel a little better about holding this position, a little bit of sleep at night protection, because, if this story erodes a little more, I really don't see any reason why NVIDIA couldn't get down to 90 or in the mid 80s or something like that. Maybe it sounds crazy, but it's not when you think about all the positive momentum that it's had over the last couple of years and the potential that has really unraveled, that has kind of hit this wall, effectively. So hopefully that gives folks a little bit of insight into what I'm thinking and volatility and pricing and options. So we'll see you guys in the next video.